So the summer Steam sale came and went, and Ozmafia was on sale for a whopping 15% off. But I was impatient and grabbed it anyhow. $5 savings is $5 savings after all, and I couldn't wait any longer. This is a visual novel with fantasy and romance as a genre type. I've only played 21 hours of this game and have not completed all the routes at this time, just FYI. There's a pretty good variety of characters, and they all seem to have an actual branching path, which is my favorite. Some games get really repetitive when the only thing that changes is who you go places with and not the actual story. All the characters have a very pretty look to them, so if rugged and whatnot is your style, these are not going to appeal. I'm going to give you a quick rundown of each of the characters whose routes I've completed. You've got the Oz family with Carmilla, who is very sweet and very kind to the heroine. He represents the Cowardly Lion. Kyrie likes to play games with people. He's kinda twisted. He represents the Scarecrow. And Axel, who's very cold and oblivious to others' feelings, and he represents the Tin Man. Next you have the Grimm family, which has Hamlin, who is fairly flirty, in trouble with the law a lot, and he represents the Piper. Scarlet wishes he was more manly, has a soft spot for the heroine against his better judgment, and he represents Little Red Riding Hood. You've got the Stivell family, which has Pachette, who is strong and confident, teaches the heroine skills, and represents Puss in Boots. You've the Wolfgang, which has Caesar, who acts really tough, threatens the heroine on a regular basis, and seems to be the big bad wolf. And then you've got So, who's very friendly, wants the heroine's dreams to come true, and I'm not really sure who's supposed to represent as far as fairy tale creatures. The plot is actually pretty solid, but the big question doesn't seem to be answered in the main gameplay. I guess there are 2 ending scenes that you can unlock by playing every route, but that is a lot of hours in, and not all the routes were interesting to me, so I don't know if I will ever find out, technically, unless I check it out on YouTube. As far as replayability, there are some scenes added in as you complete routes. I don't think it truly adds to the replay value, and I'm not all that interested in going back and playing routes to see an extra couple scenes. But since each route takes time, I don't think the lack of replay value is actually an issue. Most visual novels have decreased values in replay, so not really an issue. There are a couple cons I just want to get out there. One, there are a ton of loading screens. It gets a little tiresome, and since they're all pretty much the same, it isn't visually interesting. 2, the story is in third-person perspective. You can get over that, but it isn't the norm for visual novels. It didn't faze me after a while, but I know it bothered other people. 3, it isn't fully voiced. Whilst there are many scenes that are voiced, sometimes the voice acting stops before you are done with a scene, which can be a bit jarring. And 4, there are no romanceable ladies, which is a shame since one of the routes that was the best was a woman. But you can't romance her. So while I did enjoy this game, with the hefty price tag and the cons, I have a difficult time recommending it to folks at its set price. Not to say I think the price is unreasonable for a visual novel as big as this one, but it's really a matter of how much you like the premise that will determine whether you love it or not.